Maybe they had 2.5 chances in the first half, scored 2 goals, and then, from the 75th minute on, it was, I think, a lack of respect for our opponent. The game of soccer. Guys just didn't do their job. We had this idea that we were going to dribble out of the back every time.
I don't know. It just felt like they were just waiting for us to make a mistake and then just kill us in transition. And that's just what happened over and over again.
Well, the United States men's national team got walloped 5-1 by Colombia. The reaction was pretty negative, pretty strong. Let's talk about what happened in the match. Welcome to Campfire Football. I'm Sebastian North. Now, I was watching this match, and as soon as it ended, I was like, oh man, the reaction is going to be really serious. People are going to do all the things you'd expect. They're going to ask for Greg to be fired. They're going to say it's the worst performance they've ever seen. They're going to say that a bunch of players have never played so poorly in a U.S. shirt. I understand because the end was pretty bad. It went off a cliff. But overall, they weren't that terrible. Colombia were solid and used their chances well. But again, I don't think that they were 5-1 better than the U.S. So let's really get into what happened. All right, so here's the setup of the two teams. We'll start with Colombia. They went with sort of a 4-4-2 kind of thing. It was a little bit fluid. Basically, Lerma was the one who was kind of anchoring down the middle. Uribe would tuck in defensively, but when Colombia had the ball, he would sort of spread wide and attack with Munoz. Borré would be sort of more like a 9 in the middle here, but defensively, again, he would sort of stay on this side. Diaz would come in, and James would sort of direct traffic defensively, sort of cutting off passes and helping create a shape the others could work off of. But when Colombia had the ball, Diaz would get wider, Borré would sort of be central, Uribe would go out to the wing, and James would do what he does, float and try and create space. Arias was sort of deployed initially on the left, but you would see he would also score by coming to this side. So that's Colombia. The United States, it is Greg's normal, basic 4-3-3, or basically you have your back four, pretty obvious. Scally is now replacing Dest because he's injured, Richards, Ream, and Robinson. Johnny Cardoso was sort of the pivot, kind of with the role of directing the ball and moving it around, not so much as a defensive presence. Reyna obviously drifting as more of an attacking midfielder, coming into different spaces. McKennie was most of the time on the right-hand side. Obviously, Weah and Pulisic on the sides. This is Standard and Balogun in the middle. All right, so let's get started. Balogun is the one to get the first chance of the game. This was 30 seconds in. They've got the ball in on the side after they went long. Weston McKennie, the ball is sort of played back to him, and it's not the best ball because it goes behind him, but it doesn't matter. Reyna's there to pick up the pieces. Pulisic comes inside to get the ball. Anthony Robinson making the run up the side. The ball should have probably gone here, and Balogun spins in and gets an easy tap in from Robinson's cross, but instead Balogun takes it and decides, I'm going to go for it. I'm going to shoot. 30 seconds in, and he misses. The U.S. starts well, but 5 minutes in, they concede a goal, and it's John Arias who scores it. He's important in all this to see his movement, but here the ball comes out wide to Munoz. He takes a look in, and you see Arias comes all the way to get the ball. So one thing to keep an eye on here is the run from Arias as he goes across. That's why I've slowed this down. He's going to try and sneak in behind Reyna, and that's going to be an issue. So as James comes up, looks forward, and he sees the split he wants, he's going to go ahead and play that ball. It was pretty obvious. And this is where I think Robinson made a big error. This pass is hard. It's right on the ground, and Robinson should know how far out wide Munoz is. This pass is probably going out of play, and even if he lets it run and runs with it, he's probably going to be able to cut off a cross. Instead, he decides to go for it. Now, at the same time, Reyna is ball watching and not paying attention to Arias. He should just be behind him. Instead, as soon as the pass goes, he's like, oh, what's happening here with my buddy? What's Robinson doing? Oh God, he leaked the ball out. And the quickest to react is Arias. Now, there's two more pieces here. First, Tim Ream. He gets across well, forces Arias to not be able to shoot first touch, so he takes one. But now, dude, just chuck yourself in front of the ball. Do anything you can to block it. The next thing is Matt Turner. Now, he gave up a goal like this against Trinidad and Tobago where someone shot from about this range. My complaint with him then was that he sort of sat down as he threw his arms up, and you're going to see him do the same thing here. I am just not 100% sure that should go in. Balogun would get his huge chance of the game. Here is the U.S. just switching play well and dragging in all of these Colombian players into the midfield, because that's what Colombia wanted to do. They wanted to clog up the middle and make the U.S. predictable, which they very much can be. When everything slows down and gets this static, and you'll see everyone's just kind of standing around, Here you got Joe Scally bombing up, making a run up the wing. That's great. But this ball should probably go to Robinson so that he can go outside, or the midfielders need to make themselves more available. Ball goes into Reyna. He doesn't really know what to do, so he goes out to Richards. Richards, I love this. He wastes no time and just pings the ball out to Robinson so that he can start attacking. Robinson gets his head up. He sees the run of Balogun. It's a very good ball. Balogun's in behind. That's a very good touch as well. It's not easy to reach way out in front and get the ball away from the goalkeeper here. Also forces the keeper to come out to it, and he does a very good job of just chopping it underneath him. Davinson Sanchez is there. So now Christian Pulisic will get his own opportunity. One thing to notice here is the movement between Weah and Scally. Weah drops deeper, Scally goes forward. It's kind of just to see what the defense will do. Sometimes if they don't pass people off very well, you get open. So it's a rotation that's worth trying. Ball comes into Reyna. He does a poor pass back to Johnny. And this could be a problem. Basically, if the ball goes straight to Borré or, straight to James or someone, it could be a real issue. But instead, Ream is the one that's able to get there first. And in this scenario, all the Colombian players are starting to get sucked to the ball because they see an opportunity to win it. But the thing is, Ream gets there first, and so his single pass breaks a whole line of players, and now the U.S. is able to counter. Reyna comes forward. Balogun, very good little curled run so that he has space in behind. If Reyna can just outside of the foot feather it right into this area, Balogun's got the jump on Davinson Sanchez, and he could probably score. Reyna decides to go out wide to Pulisic, and he kind of slows the attack down, drags a couple players in. It's a big cutback to try and shoot, but gets a shot off anyway. So these were good attacks for the United States. 1-0 down. It looks like, oh, okay, they're totally in this game. But the problem was that throughout the match, every time they did anything well, it was then followed up by some really sloppy play. This is the lead up to Colombia's second goal. The ball comes here into Reyna, and honestly, I just think he needs to just go ahead and lift this ball out to Anthony Robinson early. That's where the space is. All 10 Colombian players on the field are right here. So the ball goes into Pulisic instead. He takes a poor touch instead of half turning out and going and attacking, and now has to sort of correct it. The two Colombian players in this scenario just kind of snuff him out, and so he has to go backwards. Okay, no big deal, reset. But Tim Ream here just slowed everything down so much. Now we're at walking pace. Now we're gonna do a little ball into Gio Reyna. He's just gonna go ahead and tap it back without any care of going forward. What are we doing? I guess we'll go that way. Richards has the ball. The pass out to Scally isn't necessarily the easiest one, but he could lift it over Luis Diaz, so that's a possibility. Switch the point of the attack. Maybe try and find Robinson. I don't know. But instead, nope, predictable. Into Reyna, back to Ream. Colombia are very comfortable here. They haven't had to move out of their spaces. And the thing about a team that's willing to sit and tuck in tight to the midfield is you have to get them running side to side. Instead, Ream just dawdles, and Borré comes in, wins the ball, and very quickly, Colombia counter. 2 headers, and they are in behind. The cross comes in. Richards does a decent job of blocking it, but this is panic stations right here. Really easily could have been a goal, but Colombia get a corner kick, and they would capitalize. James does a quick little 2-man corner with Arias. He goes ahead and whips the ball in, and this is just about desire in these situations. First header gets one, that's fine. But this one up in the air, 2 U.S. players are going to go for it at the same time. And the one who's going to win it is not a U.S. player. I think it's Mojica who wins it. And then we got a bicycle kick from Borré. And this should not be Matt Turner. I mean, it's kind of right into his body. So this is where Christian Pulisic would hit the post. The United States have a throw-in on the far side. It goes into Weah, and he decides, I'm going to try and run at the defenders here. Loses it. Good thing for him. McKennie's there, who does a slightly better job, a little bit more guile, creeps and tiptoes down the sideline and is able to cross the ball. Now, it's not a very good cross, and Colombia deal with it. They sort of get it out. Goes to James, but this is good counter-pressing. Reyna gets in there quickly and makes a good tackle, wins the ball, and the U.S. can reset their attack. Weah's got it, plays it inside. Johnny, one-touch ball back to Reyna. Quick ball into Pulisic so that he can now get his head up. This is the combination that they love. Pulisic out to Robinson. Robinson, one-touch cross, and this is kind of a lucky header from Pulisic. Could have easily gone in. It's another signal of intent from the U.S. And while we're talking about signaling intent, here are another 2 chances that they created. So a lot of the time with the United States national team, the big switch is something that works well. If you have high and wide wingers, that should be something that works if the other team is compact. And so here the ball comes back to Reyna. He looks up and he sees Pulisic way, way out wide. It's a very good ball, and Robinson is obviously coming forward. They got a 2v1. They handle it well. The cross comes in. And again, if this is any better, it could possibly turn into a goal. Davinson Sanchez cuts it out. And we're going to see another one here. Just these big switches from the U.S. If they are able to drag a team over into one area and do a good switch across, they have the pace to hurt teams. So here, Weah going forward again. Poor pass, actually, to Scally. The ball gets cut out, but it goes to Weston McKennie, and he looks up. There's one player wide open that you do not see on your screen. It is Pulisic way out in the wide area. There goes the ball. And again, you've got this 2v1 with Robinson and Pulisic. This is what they could have done a lot more of. This time, Robinson decides, I'm not going to join. I'm just going to let Christian go 1v1. He decides to do that. It's a good little ball into the box. There's 3 guys in there. Weston McKennie's charging in to try and get it. He misses it, but it goes to the back post. Weah's there. Mojica misses the header. Balogun is at the 6-yard box, turning to volley it. It gets blocked, and Colombia are able to clear their lines. You can't tell me that watching all these clips that the U.S. were absolutely terrible, had no invention, couldn't create any attacks or anything. That is not what I saw. So halftime comes around, Pulisic comes off, Haji Wright takes his place, Richard Rios came in for the first goal scorer, John Arias, but overall, nothing changed in terms of the shape or the plan for either side. So let's get into the second half. So I mentioned in the first half that basically one of the problems the U.S. had is they would do something really good and have a little momentum and then make some big errors that would kind of cancel it out. Well, here is a clear example of this. Reyna takes a free kick. It's a good ball in. Haji Wright is the target. He's a big, strong guy. He gets up, wins the header, and okay, it's over the bar. On another day, could go in, but that's a great delivery, and you've just put them under a lot of pressure. A minute and a half later, they get another free kick. Reyna steps up again. There's 3 players here. 4 of them have no idea that he's about to hit this ball. The other 3, I don't think are paying attention. I think I see here, this may be Haji Wright with his hands on his knees. And then look at this ball from Reyna. I mean, the Colombian players aren't really paying attention, but you're not going to surprise anyone doing that. I don't know if it was meant to be a shot. If it was, it's really bad. But this was an opportunity to apply a little extra pressure. And that's the way you execute your free kick. It's just terrible. Either way, the U.S. would pull one back through Tim Weah, who basically decided to get on hero ball mode. Let's check out exactly what I mean by that. So Turner has the ball, he rolls it out, and the United States starts to come forward. Johnny Cardoso with it, but the person you need to look at here is Tim Weah. So he's already got his arms in the air, like, we need to come this way. I mean, I think that's what he's saying. He's going to be just annoyed here that the ball doesn't come to him. Like, yeah, just a little sigh of exasperation. They're like, they went to the other side. I want the ball. Fair enough. So what are you going to do to get it, my man? Check out this run he makes. He decides, I'm going to dart all the way across, bring the left back with me. The problem is Scally's not charging up the other side because that would be the play here. Reyna looks up, sees kind of a mess here, decides, I'm not going to take that. Balogun also notices that Weah has made this run, so he starts backpedaling to get into that space on the other side. Weah's not satisfied. He wants the ball, and so even though it gets rotated back to Reem and then it's going to go back out to Reyna, Weah's just sort of standing here. He's just looking for an opportunity to get the ball to his feet. When Tim Weah gets the ball here, he turns, and now he's made a decision. The ball needs to come to this side. I've been yelling about it for ages, and so I'm going to do it myself. Plays the ball, and this is great from Weah. I mean, he just does all the work. He decides, I'm going to keep the run going. He's running faster than anyone else on the pitch. Points, makes it very easy for Balogun to know what to do. The pass is a very good one. So is the finish. And just like that, 2-1. And the U.S. is back in it, right? Well, sort of. Here is the beginning of the epic string of giveaways that would lead to this 5-1 defeat. First, Luis Diaz hitting the post, and this all starts out actually pretty well. Johnny Cardoso gets the ball, he decides to swing it across, and I like this. He decides, I need to help Robinson. He's kind of isolated. He's not making a run in behind. I need to help give him a passing option. That's the ball Robinson should probably play unless he decides to go backwards, which I think is what Reyna's telling him to do. But he decides, I'm going to take the guy on. Little step over, it gets red, and just like that, he gets dispossessed. And now the United States are in trouble. Luis Diaz comes inside and then starts to drift, receives the ball. This is good skill. Takes on Richards. Good shot. is unbelievable. Hits the post on the backside and goes out for a goal kick. Like, the odds of that happening are unreal. The U.S. at this point should have been 3-1 down. Cameron Carter-Vickers would come on for Tim Ream, and instead of coming out and looking sharp, he makes a mistake on his first play of the game. The ball comes back to Carter-Vickers from Richards, and already Luis Diaz is like, now's the time to press. We'll see how good these guys are on the ball. Oy! I mean, that is bad. That is really bad. And Luis Diaz quickly plays the ball into James. He looks up. Not a very good finish. A good save by Turner, to be fair. And everyone seemed to want to get in on the act. Here's Chris Richards being like, yo, guys, I feel left out. I'm just going to decide to dribble. But he just runs right into nothing and gets cut off, and Colombia steal the ball, and once again, they have an opportunity to attack. So the turnover virus just continued. This is Yunus Musa coming on and getting the bug as well. This is, I think, one of his first involvements in the match. All right, so Richards plays the ball into Cameron Carter-Vickers. He looks up, doesn't really have too many options, but Yunus Musa is like, I want to make myself available. He's in a hole in between some players, but he immediately has pressure from Rios. And instead of recognizing that and being able to get away from it, his first touch is poor. Rios just comes in with a flying tackle, wins the ball. Once again, it's a turnover, and here come Colombia. The ball into Rios is poor, so the attack fizzles out. But at a certain point, you're going to get severely punished for this, and here's where the avalanche starts. And it's Johnny Cardoso's turn to make a mistake. So the ball comes into him here. He's got plenty of time, goes ahead and turns. But as he starts to carry the ball, he really needs to get it off his foot, and he's just dawdling. He just doesn't recognize it. Duran comes back, pokes the ball away, and you've got 5 offensive players ahead of the ball, and now you've got your holding midfielder who has just turned it over. Key is Rios has the ball. He plays it out wide, and Johnny Cardoso is right next to him. Just stay with the guy. He takes 2 or 3 looks over his shoulder, over his right shoulder, doesn't seem to look over his left and find Rios, and this is where the distance between them starts to grow. Now he's just getting further away, and Rios has just stepped into the top of the box, completely unmarked. I don't know what Johnny's really doing here, but the problem is the guy right on the penalty spot who's wide open. Goal. 3-1. Want to see some more dawdling? Here's Tillman. The United States do a decent job of winning the ball back. Tillman strips it, gets away, and here's where there's pretty easy option. Just pass it right here, right in front of Yunus Musa so that he can connect the play going forward. Instead, oh no, I don't really like that pass, so I'll look this way. Oh, I don't see one there. Uh-oh, I should maybe turn back. Actually, I don't really know what to do. That's basically what I'm seeing here. This is what you see from like 12-year-old kids who just haven't picked their head up and made any kind of plan. And so they get smothered, and he loses the ball, and right away, Colombia can launch another counterattack. But it doesn't get better. As I said, Tim Weah was playing hero ball when he scored his goal. Well, he decided to continue to play hero ball and give one up. This is quite amazing. I mean, he gets it, looks up. There's an easy pass again to Musa. There are a few other options. The fact that he decides to just go for it. He also just totally mistouches the ball with his toe. It's technically awful. And I feel for Weah because he was really trying his best. He was gutted that the result went the way it did. But now, I mean, it's a 3v2. It's going to be too easy. Carrascal gets the ball. And I just want to mention also Matt Turner's footwork here. Looks like he's on his heels. His legs are super widespread. He's not set, even though this ball looks like it's about to be shot one touch. Gets himself set. The ball goes to the other side. I think he might have thought it was coming near post. He's leaning that way. And then watch how he just sort of pretzels his legs. I mean, that is so awkward. So just 3 minutes later, Colombia would go and make it 5-1. Now, a lot of people blame Cameron Carter-Vickers for playing just this like big, long pass right into the middle of the field that gets picked off. He doesn't really have many options. I think he could go out to Scally here. That's the safe one. But Colombia have realized, let's go press these guys. Like, they are making mistake after mistake after mistake. Let's get higher up the pitch. What this does is it leaves holes. And Carter-Vickers sees the run of Ricardo Pepi. You have to see what Pepi does here, though. He checks in, and he's got plenty of space. The ball's going to come into him, and he just stops right here. And Mujica realizes, okay, I should get a little tighter to him. But there is still room to check towards the ball. And he doesn't do it. He actually looks over his right shoulder 3 times, doesn't check his left, and Mujica just runs by him and takes the ball. I mean, it looks pretty bad, looks pretty naive. Just poor center forward play, and Colombia just launched one more attack, score easily, and it's 5-1. To me, it was like, well, yeah, they did all right for a good period of the game. They went down 2-0, but it was the final 15 minutes where they just lost it completely. If this had ended 2-1, no one would have freaked out and called it like the worst performance in the Greg Berhalter era, or that all the players are just not good enough. All of that is just crazy hyperbole. So thanks for stopping by. This is Campfire Football. I'm Sebastian North. Take it easy.